we know what is here we'll discuss what is cloud computing, what is AWS, and what is S3, benefits of S3, and what are objects and buckets in S3, and how does the Amazon S3 work. So again, I'm repeating for the freshers. So those who already know everything, just be patient, or you can skip the class and tell your buddy already I know that concept, no need, and we can mail him to him that today I missed the class because I don't I already know those concepts. So cloud computing is the distribution of the computing services via internet, as you know, including server, storage, databases, networking, software analytics, and intelligence. All these are provided in the cloud computing. So okay, so coming to the AWS, it's a cloud computing platform used to manage and maintain hardware infrastructure or of the resources. Okay, so in the AWS, it used to manage, maintain hardware like you know, public data storage, private data storage, dynamic data hosting. All these are right. So why we use the AWS is it is easy to use, it is secure, and it is storage. We use only pay for use, and databases we can store, and multi-region backups are also there. Right. So a cloud. So it's a comprehensive and simple to use computing platform offered by the Amazon. So we also discussed about what is the different services, what is on-premises, and what you can manage in the on-premises, and what you can manage in the infrastructure, and what you can manage in the platform, and what you can platform as a service, and what you can manage in the software as a service, and what uh, AWS manages. So coming to our part, so just briefing the introduction. So Amazon S3 is an object storage service from the Amazon that provides industry-leading scalability. Industry-leading scalability means we can extend with T3, say 1 GB or 1 TB or 100 TB or 1,000 TB, like that we can scale within a second. And it is availability and security performance highest. Right? How it is available? Because if one server is down, still it will be available. If the India server is down, parallelly, if you ping, if you try to get the data, will get the data from the ear, because it will maintain the data in flow. And security is also very high. Using the other services like AMI and all data secure services, we have we can use we can secure our data in the S3. So it is Amazon S3 service is it's having simple management capability that allow you to organize your data, fine tune, right? So this service, this is the logo of the service, which is used to store data in terms of the bucket. Okay, when we talk about the S3, we should know what is S3 bucket. So mainly, many people use, many big companies use the S3 bucket in their services for all businesses. All are now S3 is giving every feature to store the data. Okay, benefits of S3 is performance, scalability, and availability, and cost-effective storage classes are available. That means you already you are storing your mark sheets and your documents. When do you see them? You see rarely. You need not that data to be very fast. Then what you can do in the S3, you can store them in the archival class, glacier class. Okay, in that case, what happens? It may not be speedy, but you'll get the data after some time. But cost will be very less. If you want to get the data very fastly, you have to store them in the real time in the real time within a second you should get, right? So that will be little bit faster. In terms of security also, so it depends on, you can customize your data storage class and you can decrease or increase your cost, right? So coming to the S3 objects. Objects are fundamental entities stored in Amazon S3. Okay, so and it consists of its data as well as the metadata. Metadata means version and the time of the loading and everything. And S3 cannot access the content of the data inside the object. So S3 service won't act. We only can access the data in the object. It can only read the metadata associated with the object. So that's what security it is giving, privacy it is giving. So we are storing the data. S3 service cannot access the data. Okay, it allocates unique version ID for the object when some data is added to the bucket. So whenever you added some 10 rows, then you added the 11th row. So a new version will be created. That version ID will be stored. So everything is considered as a object in the S3 bucket, right? So that is a service. S3 is a service which stores your data, right? So in terms of the object. So buckets are containers where objects are stored, then uploaded in the Amazon S3. So when you're storing something in the bucket, right? So so when you're storing something, you should first you have to create a bucket, then you have to name it yesterday as time shown. Then you can store the content in it. Okay, it will be having an endpoint. Okay, every data will be having, every bucket will be having an endpoint. So there will be never an object without a bucket. Okay, so if you are not creating bucket, you cannot store anything. Here there is no Windows Explorer like hierarchy. That means first C drive, in that another folder, then another folder like that. So one can create the buckets in any region of the world which is close to you. So if you want to create a bucket, you can create in any region. Okay, so here how do we do that? First we'll go to the services. Then you type S3. You type S3. Then you will be getting a button or a list of the S3. There is S3 Glacier is also there. Glacier is for cold storage. Cold storage means when you don't need any documents frequently accessible, then you go with the cold storage. So S3 is there. When you type S3, it will get Athena also, where we can query the data in S3 using the SQL, using that service. Okay. So when you open the S3, it will ask us the bucket name. If already in that region that name is there, it will tell that already it is occupied with the name. So bucket name must be unique and must not contain spaces or uppercase letters. So you should be check that you should not have any uppercase letters, and it should be unique. And you should also select the region. Okay, so when you're working with the S3, so okay, you selected a bucket. You have created a bucket. And we should, here you can see block all public access. That will be by default. That means it will block public to access. Directly, every bucket will be having a URL, right? So if anyone types URL, they cannot open that service. So coming to while creating the bucket, we have to specify the class to which it belongs. First one is S3 standard. Then S3 stranded IA, then S3 intelligent tiring, and S3 one zone IA, S3 glacier, S3 glacier departed. Here you can see what it is showing here. What are these diagrams? It shows it is hot. Red means it is hot. Hot means hot data. That means if something is immediately to be shown, like a recent movie, recently, what are the more, what 2 is there. It should be hard because everyone should get it very quickly. So that will keep in the S3 standard. Then little with other features. Little intelligent tiring. I will tell you what is its important. Little, so it will be most costlier. Coming to the glacier, glacier means some movie already war is already released before 2 years or something, right? Already people don't watch. They rarely watch. Then what we'll do? We'll keep that movie in the glacier. As a say, I am the owner of that movie. I want to store somewhere in the cloud. Then what I'll do? I'll store that war movie in the glacier class. These are the classes of the S3 service. Based on the class, it will cost us. So if you're going for the standard, it should be available, right? So it will cost us a little bit more. If there is glacier, it is not need not to be immediately available. It may take some time to get it. So in that case, it will cost us little less, right? So like that, while we are using S3, while we are creating and storing the data, we can choose any of these classes. Okay, so while we are storing the data, when do we use these classes? Say standard. Standard is for the frequent data access. So it is suitable for the use cases where latency is supposed to be low. What is latency? Latency is the time for getting the traveling of the data. So I opened a movie. Now, how many seconds it is opening? That is called as latency, right? So it should be opened immediately, right? So robot is storing the data. A robot is matching the floor. It is sending the image to the cloud for running the algorithm, to train the algorithm and to run the algorithm and to do the classification detail, right? So if the latency is more, what it should run in the real time, right? Robots should be running in the real time. Even the healthcare alert system, they should run in the real time. In that case, every data which is stored in the cloud, it should get immediately. It should get immediate. We should get the immediately, right? So in that cases, we store the data which should be available immediately in the standard class, Amazon S3 standard class. So write an example called frequently accessed data, which can be the data of every employee work hours per day, which should be retrieved quickly. Then coming to the infrequent data access. Then second category is infrequent data access. So these used where the data is long lived and not frequently active. Like I said, war movie which is released 2 years before. So it is not frequently asked. Someone wants to watch that movie after 2 years, then that is, yes, so it is infrequent, right? So or repeatedly not used. Like here in an example, employee progress report will not be needed daily. Progress report is most rarely asked in the month end or year end, right? So in that case, we can use the we can store that progress reports in the infrequent data access class, IA class. Then glacier. This class is suitable to store the data is for old record, like some employees relieved. Why to maintain the data in a as a hard record? We can store them in the cold record, right? We can store all files in the cold record. We need not to give the recent data, right? We need not see if employees removed. We will not fetch the data frequently, right? When someone asks for the background verification, then the data is open. Otherwise, the data is not open, right? So that's what like old records we use the Amazon Glacier class. So that also we can select while we are creating the bucket. We can select which class it belongs to. Then another one is one zone, one IA. Okay, it is suitable for the data which is accessed infrequently and stored in a particular region. So it can be stored in a single storage, single region. It may not be cloned. Okay. And another one is standard reduced redundancy storage. It is used where the data is non-critical and reproduced quickly. Like external data stored which is not important can be replaced if falls under the category. So it can be replaced if it fails also, right? So in this we will use the so some temporary for all those will store in this reduced redundancy storage. So depending upon the so normally which if you when you are storing some data, if data is stored in standard, then it will be little bit costlier. If you are storing in the glacier, it will be lesser costlier. If you are storing in the reduced redundancy storage, a little more lesser costlier, right? So in the then it will ask us the feature like today war 2 is released. How many days you want to make it in the standard? And after how many days you can move it to the glacier? Why? Because glacier is little bit slow. The latency will be high, but somewhere it is stored, some region it is stored, but it won't come very fastly because we are paying less. So in that case, we can arrange the life cycle. Okay, that means for 1 month we can keep it in standard. After say 3 months, we'll keep it in the standard. Then after 3 months, we'll move it to the glacier. Okay. Then like here, we can store, upload, we can open with the metric. We can open the object, then we can upload, we can create a folder in this bucket and we can upload the data directly using the upload option. Okay, and in the management, we can, when you open this bucket feature, there will be different things like properties, permissions, properties, in the properties will be having endpoints and everything. Endpoint means then access point also will be having. Then we in the management we can go with this. We can create the life cycle. How do we do that life cycle? We can write a rule. Okay, so life cycle rule. That means how many days it should be in a standard, which where the movie should be very quick, the latency should be very low, and it should be because many people want, right? It should be available, and after 3 months, very few people want. So it can move to the glacier or infrequent access. So like that, first we'll move it, keep it in a standard, then we'll keep it in the infrequent access, then we'll keep it in the glacier, then we can move it into the little more archival, right? For that, how much time for each one we can write? Here we are writing, we can write a simple life cycle rule, okay, for that bucket, and it will be displayed like this. Here, you can use, first you can, here it is written standard for the same bucket, standard IA, infrequent, it will go into the standard IA. First it will be in the direct, right? It will be in the standard. First it will be in the standard, which is little bit low latency and very speedily available. Then we're writing a rule where after 30 days, it will go to the infrequent access. Okay. Then we can write add, you can simply click on add transaction. Then we can write after 90 days, it should go to the glacier, right? So how we'll do that? After creating the bucket, we'll go to the management and we'll click on create lifecycle rule. Okay. Then we'll for that object we'll give a name, like what is the life cycle rule, what is the name of that rule, and we'll go give after 30 days we'll write transition timings like that. After 30 days, here the date time we have to give, here where it should go from the standard. Right now it is in the standard, where it should go. We have written that infrequent access, it should go after 30 days. Then it should go into the uh, glacier means storage, cold storage. Into that it will go after the 90 days. Okay, so like that we'll create a route. Okay, so uh, then it will, what happens, it will go in the same manner. Okay, so here we are uploading a image. So like that we can image and we'll write the life cycle. So here the features are, first we discussed about the life cycle management, right? Second feature is bucket policy. Policy means what, how it should work, what is the access point, who can use that. So that we can write in the bucket policy. So when we are creating a bucket, we can also write a policy for it. So it is an IAM policy. IAM means Identity Access Management Policy. This is also service which lets you allow or deny permission to use the S3 resources. So with this, you can also define security parameters for more than one file on the desired bucket, right? So admin user will generate a bucket policy, and this policy will be assigned to the buckets and objects. So when we create a policy, that is a rule, who can access, who can view all those rules. Then we will apply that policy to the bucket. Then what happens? Only those users can view that or use the objects in the bucket. So that we call as bucket policy. Okay. So first we discussed about life cycle management in the S3. Then we discussed about the bucket policy. So in the bucket policy, so what we said, we'll write a policy, we'll write a rule. Those rules we can apply on the bucket. So here we'll go to the Amazon Web Services, and we will go to the policy IAM services, and we will open policy generator. In that we'll open policy so that we'll start writing the policy. So that we'll go to the IAM and we'll start writing the policy. There we will be getting the image like the page like this, where you can select the type of the policy. Here, if you get the drop down, where you will be saying that as a bucket policy, right? Then we'll give statements like who can use you, okay, and what are the service for this, which service, on which service we are writing, what are the actions, whether they can use or update or delete the content, those conditions, and the resource name on which we are going to use. So that will be writing on the bucket. Okay. So to use any bucket, normally it is a block for all public access will be there. If you want to open that public access to make it available to everyone, say you are loading a static website in it, then first what you have to do, you have to undo it, that block all public access. Then it will ask us for the confirmation. Then we can create open that once it is publicly available, we can open. Then third feature is data encryption. Amazon S3 provides IT teams a highly durable, protected, and scalable infrastructure designed for the object storage. So the main intention is to protect the data when it is action or a rest. So we can create a key and we can make it an SSL, and so that directly a security we can provide. Okay. So that is the main another example on Monday or 1 to 100 classes where all your mics will be open. At that moment we will discuss. I'll directly open that and I'll explain. So here versioning is also another feature. That is, it is used to that means you have you added to for 10 data. Again you are adding new data. Then it will preserve the older version also. If you want to get the older version, you can also get that older version so that your data will not be lost, right? And it also gives the cross-region replication. Cross-region replication means cross-region replication provides the automatic copying of every object uploaded to your bucket, right? So this feature you can select, like you can select and automatically what happens, the data can be stored in different locations. So it is nothing but an automatic copying of every object uploaded to your bucket. So from the source you can say you're in you are using the region of India. You want to parallelly, it should be replicated in somewhere safest place. If it is a bank transactions or something, then what you will do, you will apply an automatic copying. So all the records will be copied to over there. So to create bucket, what you have to do again, we'll create bucket with a name and we'll give some right replication rule name. Okay. So here for using the replication, and we'll also select the region where it should be stored, right? So then it will create a source region as I said, and the destination region. From the source region, it will be copied to the destination. Simply while creating the bucket, you can also select this replication rule configuration also. It will be in the down. It is in the down. Okay, if it is in the disable, it will not replicate. If it is in the enable, you can write that rule where it should give where it store the data, replicate the data in another region. Okay, so like that. Here you can see it is also having the region. Then we can also do the transfer acceleration. That means whenever that means this service also can be used to accelerate the data transfer. So whenever you want the data to be very urgent, then we can immediately latency should be very less. Then you can opt for this transfer acceleration. Whatever service you use, it will be costlier, but depending upon your requirement, you can get this done. Okay. So what happens? It enables the transfer action, upload the same while when you want to get the data immediately using the CloudFront or anything, it should be the transfer acceleration should be given so that latency will be very low. Okay, so we'll discuss these things afterwards. So what we discussed till now, we discussed about two features. So we discussed about what is S3. Okay, S3 is a simple storage service, right? Simple storage service where we can store the data in terms of the object. So first, objects are very important. Everything is stored in terms of the object, right? Then we talked about buckets. Buckets are the basic folder like kind of things where we'll create a bucket and store the data in that bucket, right? Then all the objects we create in the bucket. So when we are storing in the bucket any data, we can write a policy, life cycle policy, or we can classify the data, right? What we are saying, what we have different classes, that is standard, infrequent access, glacier. Okay, so like that, right? So we have discussed about the 5 classes. So we are saying that after, say, now in the day one itself, we can write a life cycle plan that after 90 days it can go to the glacier. After, if you in the day one we can write, but it should be in a standard. It should be immediately accessible. Then it should go to the infrequent access after 30 days. After 30 days, it should, after 90 days again, it should go to the glacier. That life cycle plan immediately we can write, or whenever we want to write, we can write. So it is in the form of the rules that we can perform. So where in the management we'll have the life cycle policy, life cycle management. In that management, we'll write the life cycle and we can keep it. Then we can assign. Then what happens? Automatically, it will go into the different classes. In the day one itself, we can write. Then coming to the bucket policy. Bucket policy is a IAM policy. Identity Access Management is a service which gives the, it secures the data. So based on the policies. So we can write who can access this bucket, who can access, who is authorized to use it, who can update that. That information we write in terms of the policy. Okay, so we'll write a bucket policy and we'll assign that bucket policy to this bucket. Okay, so then we talked about the encryption. We'll be having the keys like 256-bit key, like that we can secure the bucket and we can assign that to the bucket so that next time we can use the only that security key and we can access the bucket. Okay, next, another feature we discussed about the versioning. Versioning means whenever you are updating the data, whenever you apply the versioning feature, then what happens? The previous versions are also will be stored in the this S3 service. So you can also get the previous version. So that whenever if you fails in the new updation, you can get the backup of the data. Then cross-region replication. Cross-region replication is the feature where you can store the data in some remote region. So from this region, if you apply a cross-region replication in some Australia and USA, then every data, whatever you're updating here, that will be stored in that region. Okay, you will get that. That is an extra feature. Normally, it maintains the clone, but it is an extra feature where you can clearly specify this should be stored in somewhere else, right? So then transfer acceleration. Whenever a data should be transferred in a long distances between client and bucket, so we will take an advantage of edge location. That means to the user where exactly to the end user where exactly what is the nearest edge location. Then by the acceleration, data will be stored there and it will be given to the end user very quickly. Okay, so it will choose an optimizer to give the data very quickly. Okay, so like that we have discussed about the S3 and which services and all. I hope at least from Monday we'll have a direct execution of the EC2 and S3. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Right now, I'll close the session. Monday we'll try to stop theory part and we'll try to do the execution part. Okay. Meanwhile, you go through some any lectures available on the internet and try to use this EC2, use this S3 bucket in your access, whatever you have done. Okay, whatever AWS console you have registered previously. So we have immediate project requirement where the company is designing a pet robot. Okay, so where it will be like this, which will be useful, and it's a companion to the so this is the preview they have made to understand. This is the model where the company is working on it to create a market viable product initially. Market viable product means basic model. Then once the fund raises and the people give the orders and everything, it will go into the large scale production. As a middle level company, we are doing the MVP, and once everything goes well, it will go. That company will go into the large scale. So the main objective is it is for the children or old age people, which clear their loneliness, and by talking with them and assisting in the daily help, making giving the uh, or giving the tablets, and asking them timely to take timely, reminding their daily schedules, and giving the entertainment by talking them, watching the movie with them, and helping in the mobility support and all. So here our main feature is, so here it is having, we discussed for the CDR what are the main features of it, and mainly our concern is this. Now the task is to create a module which overcome this problem. Okay, so in this scenario, there are plenty of we have discussed in the CDR in the 6 to 7 class. So where we have discussed about the different functional requirements, and we have also discussed the non-functional requirements, and different software stack, and what is our so fall detection, and so detection and monitoring and reminders guided work. That is the main our scope of the work. They said train the people in this scenario. So FPR, that is protect, prevention, detection, and response of fall. So we have to this robot has to prevent the fall occurrences, because most of the elderly people are dying by falling down and having the head injury. So here we have discussed the requirement of the requirement and post-incident response workflow also, and we also discussed exactly how the Sandy solves the user needs, and we also discussed uh, different deliverables among them. So what is the roadmap for the this AI cloud engineer? So initially, to train for this project, we have to train you AWS, Azure, and GCP basics, then networking in the IAM and storage, then basics of Docker and Kubernetes in first 1 month. Okay. Then in the second to 4 months, you should be able to set up the pipelines for multimedia input. Okay. You have to multimodal input. So like AWS Kinesis, if it is GCP PubSub, that you have to learn. And how to store the sensor and video data efficiently, that should be learned. So, and AML deployment, how we can deploy using the Docker, deploy inference services on Kubernetes, and optimize the model for edge cloud synergy. So that should be learned in the next phase. And monitoring and security is also important as per the client requirement. So privacy and security of the world people is very, very important. So that is how we are monitoring the data which is being pulled to the cloud, and how we integrate the alert system for the for fall detection incidents, and apply best practices of IAM and encryption VPN. That we have to write AI scripts as well as the normal and even AI model. And scaling the automations, how we can scale this automation. Okay, auto scaling clusters and automate data pipelines with Airflow and Perfect. All these things we have to, that is your workflow that we'll discuss once all of you, whoever, when we divide the batches, AML CDR people, CDR completed people, with them separate meeting will be there. AWS CDR people separate meeting will be there. So here you have to learn the cloud platforms like AWS, SageMaker, and Kinesis and S3. In the GCP, you can learn in Vertex AI and BigQuery and PubSub. If it is Azure, you have to learn Azure AI, right? And in the containers and orchestrations, you will be learning the Docker, Kubernetes, and Kubeflow. Okay, and in the CI/CD for ML, you should be learning ML flow, Airflow, and Jenkins. And in the data handling, you have to learn the Kafka, Spark, BigQuery, and Snowflake. And in the monitoring, you have to learn the Grafana, Prometheus, and CloudWatch. These are the things you have to learn. Okay, so that is your roadmap for the cloud that we will discuss in depth after Monday. Once we'll verify and screen everything, then we'll separate meeting with the people who submitted the document.